This is the reason why most people don't want to work the night shift. A Reddit user uploaded a disturbing video where his father's working the night shift, and as he's looking over the security cameras, he sees something walk by the building that looks like it came out of a nightmare. You can see two distorted figures walking by. People pointed out one of them seems to be walking on all fours, yet resembling a human face. Could it be that a supernatural being such as a jinn or a skinwalker was captured on that security camera? Or is it just a glitch? This is why your pet may be trying to tell you something's watching you. Andres had recently arrived home when he noticed his dog was acting unusually nervous.
Y tu perro viene de la pieza ladrando, mira, mira.
His dog seems to be barking at something in a dark room, but when it approaches it, it backs away in fear. But it wasn't until Andres reviewed the footage that he would see it.
Y estoy solo en la casa, compañero.
What seems like a pair of glowing eyes can be seen watching Andres. She took a babysitting job, but they didn't mention this was in the house. Sylph Clayton uploaded a series of videos where she shows the house she's babysitting at has faceless, children-like dolls that face the wall like they're playing hide and seek.
Guys, I'm babysitting and I just found the creepiest thing. What is that? Oh my god. No, but what is it? Another one. Why would you look at that? Why would anyone have this in their house?
If you look closely, each of these dolls have bells attached to them, as if they're there to alert movement. She wanted to make fun of the doll's position, and by doing so, this happens.
Guys, guess who I am?
She didn't notice, but what looks like the figure of a girl can be seen in the mirror entering a room. She kept waking up to strange noises at 4 a.m., and this is what she found. A couple began recording their recent hauntings after a horrifying encounter with a strange shadow figure. One night, while alone in the house, she begins to hear the same strange noises that had been haunting them.
Hola, gente. Otra vez el ruido ese. Todavía se escucha un ruido de abajo.
When she goes to check, what she finds is terrifying.
Ay, la controladora, hay algo ahí. Sora. Sora, subí. Ay, no, Dios santo. Nera.
She didn't notice, but what looks like hands can be seen waiting for her downstairs. If your dog starts acting like this, it may be warning you of an evil presence. A woman named Milena explains her dog has never acted like this before.
What do you see? Oh my god.
You can see the fur on its back stand up, as if it's being threatened by something.
Girl, you get me scared.
Was Milena's dog warning her of a malevolent spirit in the room? Or is it just something else? They found him passed out while exploring an abandoned haunted town, and what his camera captured will shock you. The clip store team went to explore an abandoned and allegedly haunted town in Shibukawa, Japan. They split up and explored the town, but when it's time to meet up, one of the crew members, Daishan, is nowhere to be found. After searching the town, they find him sitting in a room disoriented. As they're helping him out of there, they see his camera was still recording. This is what was captured. He's frightened by a pale face, which makes him fall down, and when he looks again, it's not there anymore. He then turns around and sees what looks like a man kneeling down. Shortly after this is when the team finds him. Was Daishan attacked by an unknown force, or is it something else? A group of friends were hiking in Virginia when they hear something inside the forest that horrifies them.
Lower then.
I think it's poison.
Wait, no, Britt, it's home.
No, hold on.
I'm
Chill.
going first.
Oh, nah, go first. I'm about to take a picture of it. You gotta get lower than that. Look at him, he moved.
Oh my god.
Uh-oh, it's about to catch something. Y'all ready to go back?
Yes, I am.
Yo, what the fuck is that? Look, in scary movies, this when they say, yo, listen.
Wait.
Wait, how y'all realize before we need
Wait.
They were working in a haunted train station when suddenly they heard something growling. A group of co-workers of an underground train station were working as normal until one of them began to hear what sounded like growling coming from a hall. Now, when one of the workers gets closer, this happens. The growling reacts to him getting closer.
It fucking seemed like it fucking stopped. Do you not hear it? Stop.
Many people who work or worked there also claim experiencing unexplained events. He was haunted by something that mimicked his voice. Giovanni and his girlfriend Laura lived fairly normal lives in Brazil until one night they were woken by something outside their room mimicking Laura's voice. After this event, a few months went by with no activity from whatever this thing is. But one night, while Laura was away with family, whatever was tormenting them back then had come back and now began mimicking Giovanni's voice. He hears himself coming from a hallway, the same hallway where he was chased by an unknown force. Whatever's luring him seems to notice the absence of Laura and continuously calls her name. But when he gets closer, the voice is now coming from a room behind him, and a door opens up on its own. But no one's there. This is why you should never trust any dolls. A man named Jacob inherited his grandmother's house, along with her collection of antique dolls. In the bedroom Jacob is sleeping in, a creepy clown doll is positioned right in front of the bed, as if watching him. But not long after falling asleep, he begins to hear noises inside the bedroom. He didn't notice it. As he's leaving the closet, he's startled by another sound. But it wasn't until rewatching the video that he would see it. The doll's head seemingly moved on its own, as if it was really watching him. Since that night, Jacob has moved at the doll. This is why most dolls are haunted. 10 years ago, a woman named Steph purchased a strange doll in Mexico. She says after some time, she began to hear a child's voice in her home. She disposed of the doll and thought that would fix it, but it kept haunting her. One night, while Steph was in her room talking on the phone, she sees this. You can see what looks like a small hand opening the closet door. A couple of days later, she sees it again, but this time, she goes to see who's there. Could it be that the spirit of a child has attached itself to Steph's home? Or is it something else? A DJ was closing the night when this happens.
This is genuinely scary.
Screams of terror heard coming from a woman off camera crying out for help. Hearing this late at night is unsettling, that even people walking nearby feel unsafe and flee. They finally moved in together into a new house, but a late night visitor changed everything. Recently engaged couple Crystal and Damien loved their new home, but they couldn't ignore the feeling like something was with them. Worried for their safety, Damien sets up cameras around the house. During midnight, they're awoken by banging at the front door. Seeing no one was there, Damien opened the door armed and confused. After that night, they began to argue more frequently.
I don't want to keep hanging out with your friends.
They're not trying. That's just how they.
Damien was attacked by an unknown force, and they decided to prepare a seance to cleanse the house. Seeing the bathroom door shake aggressively, startled, they left the house for a couple of days. They believe the cleanse might have worked since the house now feels somewhat different. They went into a haunted museum and realized something was watching them. TikTok user Sabrina went to visit the Aston Hall mansion in Birmingham, England. The mansion was built in the early 1600s by Sir Thomas Holt as a home for him and his family. Holt would imprison his daughter for over 16 years in a small cell located in the top of the building, and all because he didn't approve of her partner. She would later pass away due to poor treatment. Many people have claimed seeing a female spirit who is thought of being his daughter Mary. Now, Sabrina's husband tries calling out for Mary where she passed away, and it looks like she heard him.
We've seen you. Where are you, Mary? 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 Are you still in there, Mary? You can come out now. Hello?
She played the Ouija board and began acting very strange. 21-year-old girl named Camilka suffered a minor head injury while playing volleyball. A couple of days later, she decided to play the Ouija board with her friends on an old family-owned hut in the outskirts of town. Shortly after, Camilka began acting very strange, making growling noises. She decided to barricade herself in the attic. The police were called in fear of her being possessed. An officer uses the name of her daughter to try and lure her out. Eventually, the officers entered the room and overpowered her. She was taken to a hospital where her blood work showed she was not under the influence and would later wake up completely normal. Did her head injury mess with her state of mind, or was she really possessed by playing the Ouija board? She bought a strange antique doll set and something followed her home. A man named Daniel explains that his mother's obsessed with collecting strange antique items. One day she brought home a doll set and would soon realize allowing it into their home was a mistake. They first hear tapping sounds coming from the dollhouse. Then one night, Daniel's awoken by someone knocking on their front door. Unable to see who's on the other side, Daniel slightly opens the door, but no one seems to be there, and as he turns around, he swears the doll behind him blinked, followed by more knocking. After looking at the cameras and seeing no one behind that door, Daniel tries to get rid of the doll set, but his mother refused. This man was haunted by a demon that mimicked his grandmother. Oh! A father and his daughters inherited his grandmother's house after her recent passing. Immediately as they move in, they notice all her belongings were left untouched. One night, Alex hears a chair being dragged coming from upstairs. When he goes to check, this happens. A face can be seen watching him from a dark room. Alex says that face is his grandmother's. A few nights later, things get worse.
This is not what I signed up for when I got this house. Oh, shit! Fuck! Come on.
Alex sees what looks like his grandmother, but when he goes to check, there's no one there. There's a cave in China where hundreds of coffins were found. Rumors say that vampire ancestors are in a deep sleep, and if you open the coffins, you'll break the curse and awaken the dead. But this isn't actually the case, and the real reason why those coffins are there might surprise you. You see, in ancient times, people that lived in the city of Anshun, China, moved over into the mountainy regions in order to avoid war. Their beliefs were that by placing a coffin high up in a mountain, it would be closer to heaven. Then by letting the wooden coffins rot away, the souls would successfully cross over. If you get a feeling like someone's in the back of your car at night, this could be why. Early in the morning, a Singapore bus driver was getting ready to start his routes when he felt like someone was watching him.
Tengok ni Okey, kat atas ni ada orang kan?
What looks like a dark figure can be seen in the back of the bus, watching him. But when he checks, there's no one there.
Sial kan, tak ada orang kan?
Could this really mean that when we're feeling watched, someone's with us? Or is it something else? She looked over at the cameras and saw this was happening to her daughter. Jen from Jen Barari recently moved into a new home where she would find out the house had a dark past. One day, while her daughter was in her room, Jen noticed through her home surveillance cameras that something was very wrong.
Honey, what's going on? Baby, come here. Come here. Come here. What's up, baby? Honey. What's wrong?
She goes to see what's wrong with her as she's in a trance-like state. Now frightened due to the unexplained events, Jen calls a medium to her home. This is what she had to say about the house.
I don't want to be filmed right whatsoever. Thank you so much for coming.
I feel somebody here with us.
Okay.
I would definitely give some sort of special guardian to your child or so.
You hear it right now. It's
It's
insane.
like a man or something with tall. That's
Holy.
it. I'm leaving. It's too demon for me. It's too much.
She went to take out the trash when she heard a man inside the trash chute.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay. How can I get you help?
Just don't tell anybody.
Well, how are you gonna get out? I have to tell someone that you're in here so you can get out.
No. What?
Can you see my phone flashlight?
Yeah.
Can you stick your hand up? I don't see you.
I'm stuck upside down.
A terminally ill grandmother began to behave a bit strange.
Can you see this little?
A 96-year-old woman named Tonti was telling her son she could see someone standing by her bedside.
What is amazing, Mom?
Can you see this little pink girl here?
The pink girl?
No. You can't.
No, I can't see the pink girl. Is she Chinese or Oriental?
Chinese.
Pardon me?
Chinese or
Chinese?
party toiler. Harder.
They're having a party? Who's having the birthday party?
Oh, I don't know.
Many people that had near-death experiences have reported seeing deceased relatives, but according to them, it's not a frightening experience, but a peaceful one. She was alone in her house when she heard someone crying downstairs. Tatiana and her boyfriend Gabriel lived fairly normal lives in Canada, but one night while Tatiana was alone in the house, she began to hear voices downstairs.
Not gonna go. It sounds like it's coming from our room, Gabe.
As she got closer to the source of the sound, you can hear what sounds like a man crying coming from her bedroom.
Please, Gabe. Please come home.
Freaked out, she goes upstairs and calls Gabriel, but when he arrives and searches the house, no one's there. He was resting peacefully when this happened. A man was sound asleep in the hospital Felix Bulnes in Chile when something mysteriously pulls him off the bed. The hospital is known by many people for being haunted, and user Paranormal Carlo Martinez decides to investigate and captures this. He hears voices, then at the end of the hall, he sees something fly out an open window and closes it. Is this hospital truly haunted, Or is there another explanation for these events? This diver found a giant helmet in the bottom of the Indian Ocean by Madagascar. Although we can clearly see this giant gladiator helmet, for some mysterious reason, this event is nowhere to be found online. There was a discovery in Madagascar of a megafauna, where 10-foot tall elephant birds and giant predators lived there over 1,000 years ago. So could this really be the helmet of a giant, or is it just fake? If you hear your dog like this, be very careful.
Nala!
YouTube user Hoopla uploaded a disturbing video where he explains he left his dog Nala in his room for only a couple minutes to use the restroom.
Nala!
He thought it was his friend Derek that snuck in to pull a prank on him, so he decided to record the event.
Derek?
Looking for Nala, he hears something in the kitchen, but nothing's there.
Nala, where'd you go, princess? Nala?
He finds Nala hiding in the dark, shaking and completely irresponsive. He hears more movement in the kitchen, and as he's getting his dog Nala to leave the house, this happens.
Nala, we're leaving, let's go!
He explains Nala was traumatized with shakes, but after a few days she recovered. What Nala saw in his room that scared her to her core remains a mystery. He was with his dogs watching TV when he realized someone else was in the house. User Ghost Rocky explains these events began to occur more regularly when he was in his room and saw his door open on its own, but then he decided to provoke whatever did it. One night in the living room, he's watching TV with his dogs when this happens.
Oh putain!
This is why you always lock your doors.
Get out of here!
On July 31st, 2022, user Georgia Ramirez was arriving home one night with her son when her Ring doorbell camera captured something horrifying.
Go shower really fast. I need you to go shower.
A man was following them home and attempts to open the door with a sinister look in his eyes.
What's that? Who is that? Get out of here!
He can also be seen hiding something behind him.
Get out of here! There's a guy outside, look!
The police was called and the man was left alone after his family explains he just has mental problems and poses no harm to Jojo and her son. It's left to wonder, would things turn out the same way if the door was left open for a little bit longer? I'll let you decide. He was showing off his Halloween decorations when he got the feeling he was being watched.
Bobby, is that you?
User Sheldell Bell uploaded a creepy video where he showed off his Halloween decorations. The creepiest thing he said was the church next door. As he looks over, he sees two figures watching him. In the video, he brushes it off as a prank, but when he keeps staring at them, this happens.
What the fuck, man? Baby, come on, get in the house, man. Get in the house. Go. And just stay in your room.
Was he really being stalked by these two occultists, or is it just an elaborate prank video? Two workers were closing the night when this happened.
Are over here.
While they're hiding in the back, waiting for all the unexplained activity to end, it follows them.
So we need to like, it's so dark because all the light switches are over here.
Stop it! Stop it!
Something was thrown at Nick, and they get out. But after only a few seconds, they see this.
What we're dealing with.
Oh my god, yo, what the fuck? Bro, Nick, did you fucking do this on purpose?
I-
Did you fucking fake this? No, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you, Nick!
Stop! You're literally. Are you?
No, wait, no. Nah.
Is Nick's store haunted, or is it something else? He should have stayed far away from this place, but after going back, this happens. Chris from Urbix Hill decided to re-explore a mysterious abandoned factory alone. Previously, he captured many horrifying, inexplicable events, and was even attacked by a white figure that caused him to throw up when it exited his body. Now, while exploring the location again, he captures voices
It's a weird noise in this room.
The same white figure as before, and things moving on their own.
What the hell is that?
But the most horrifying of all is when Chris sits down to take a break, this happens. You can hear something approaching him. Then a mysterious invisible force pushes Chris. After being knocked out unconscious for about 10 minutes, he wakes up and gets out of there. This is why you always lock your doors. Will from Will Whereabouts was camping in the middle of the woods in Box Hill, UK, when suddenly, late at night, he's awoken by what sounds like human voices.
I don't think I'm going to be getting much sleep tonight.
Will explains he was all alone in that site, so what exactly made those sounds? He was alone one night and heard someone walking upstairs. Then this happened. A Reddit user was showing off his new additions to his fish tank when he noticed something ominous around the corner.
If you guys have any suggestions for names that... What the f... What the f...
He sees a hand that seems to move right when he noticed it. He says he lives alone and he isn't quite sure what could have done this. On another night, that's when things take a darker turn. He hears footsteps, so he decides to investigate, and this happens.
I heard a couple of sort of banging. Sometimes it sounds like footsteps. Yeah, I just thought I'd record to just try and like catch any... Fucking hell, man.
A night guard was patrolling the area alone, and he swears he was talking to an old lady. Luisa Alvarez uploaded a video taken from a security camera where a man can be seen waving to someone in the dark. He sees someone we can't see. He goes over to open the door for what he would later describe as a lost old lady. While conversing with the old lady, he waits for the elevator, and this happens. He runs off the building after the horrifying realization. Some people believe the devil was paying him a visit, but without any more information, we can only assume. He thought his wife's spirit was visiting him, but he realized that wasn't her. A man explains he's been hearing footsteps and voices coming from the hallway. Ever since his wife passed away, he believes her spirit may have been trying to contact him. One night, he's awoken by the attic door slamming shut on its own. Unable to sleep, he begins to hear footsteps and voices coming from the hallway.
That sounds like it's down at the end of the hallway. Right back there. My face was right here. That's not why.
He describes feeling the presence of a tall man behind him and hearing many voices saying, "Help me." After this event, he experienced seeing shadow figures by his bedroom and seeing distorted faces with unexplicable sounds. Due to the lack of sleep, he developed serious health problems that caused him to move out and sell his house. If you hear a ghost or spirit messing with a door, whatever you do, don't open it. Here's why. A man named Bruce dedicated a YouTube channel to record memories with his kids. But one night, he was woken up by noises coming from downstairs. He finds a doorknob to a closet moving aggressively as if someone's inside. But when he opens the door, no one seems to be there. Confused on what just happened, he goes back to bed and ignores it. But one night while playing with his son, whatever was inside that closet came back.
Whoa!
By opening that door, did he allow this entity into his home? Or is it something else? He felt like something was watching him, but when he turned on the camera, he finally sees it. YouTuber Zero Fox was testing out the different camera features of the Xbox Kinect when suddenly he notices something that shouldn't be there. What looks like a dark figure can be seen standing behind him, but when he turns around, no one's there. Could this be an entity invisible to the human eye, or is it something else? If your kid starts talking to an imaginary friend, be very careful. Here's why. A woman named Leah Lourdes moved into a new house with her daughter. She explains that over the course of a few days, her daughter befriended an imaginary friend. After this, she noticed her daughter would spend a lot of time inside her room and even noticed another voice coming from inside. Hoping it's just her mind playing tricks on her, she places a camera in her daughter's room to make sure everything's okay. But what she captured made her realize moving into that house was a mistake. You can see her daughter talking to someone. The closet door opens by itself, as if something's hiding inside. Then, you can hear what sounds like a deep growl. Frightened, she slowly makes her way out. After discovering the footage, Leo expresses she's terrified and trying to find answers. Warning, be very careful if you're working one of these jobs. Christine, a 38-year-old mother of 4 living in Pittsburgh, was doing Uber on February 10th of 2022. 22-year-old Calvin Crew used his girlfriend's phone to order an Uber, which Christine accepted.
How are you today?
He uses a mask and hoodie to cover his face. He looks around to see if it's clear to make his move and pulls a gun on Christine.
What are you doing?
This is a gun. Keep driving.
No, it's not. Stop. Come on, man. I got a family. What are you doing?
I got a family too. Now drive.
He orders her to cancel the ride so it can't be tracked. Held hostage, Christine is forced to drive for an hour while Calvin took her phone and deposited all her money onto his girlfriend's account. He then tells her everything will be okay if she listens, but that would be a lie. 2 days later, Christine's body was found in the woods by an Amazon driver, 50 feet off the road with a gunshot wound in the head. Prosecutors are seeking death penalty for Calvin. He was working the night shift when this happened. An overnight security guard at a supermarket kept hearing things during his route. So one night, he decided to record his walks, and this happened. The toys seem to be turning on their own, and he just gets out of there. This monk was forced to write a book overnight to save his life. According to legend, the Codex Gigas, also known as the Devil's Bible, was written by a monk who broke his monastery vows and was sentenced to die. In order to avoid execution, he promised to create a book containing all the secrets of creation in only a night. During midnight, he knew he couldn't finish the book and would soon die an agonizingly slow death buried alive. Consumed with fear, he made a deal with Satan himself, offering his soul, begging him in tears to finish the book. The monk claimed Satan completed the book with inhuman speed. Then the monk added a drawing of his new master in gratitude, inked in his own blood and feces. Tests were performed, and it was estimated that calligraphy alone would have taken 20 years of non-stop writing. Would you stay in this house? A man named Lucas and his friend were home one day when they began to see things moving around the house and lights turning on their own. Now, they begin to hear footsteps in the guest bedroom upstairs, so they decided to take a look who may be up there. Even their cat seems to react to whatever was inside that room. Lucas decides to put a camera to capture whatever that was. Whatever's causing this seems to be living in that crawl space. So the question is,